phrase, put your hands together. And you assume it means clapping. It could mean, oh Lord, make it short. My hands are together.
Yeah.
So, quite often, in fact, probably I would say every single time, my sermons here can be summed up in one short sentence. I'm just picking on very simple, down-to-earth topics. Love, forgiveness, the rest of it. The powers, the 12 powers actually. And today is no different. Something to do with our life. How do we view our life? We look around and look at the people, and it seems like many, especially if you go to the grocery store and look around there, oh my goodness, that is so much fun. They are so weird. I'm not one of the weird ones, no. But I look and I see people that seem to me that they're living just on the surface of their life, with their focus mostly on just things, their relationships, or building a career, what's their hobby, what are their hobbies, and then, they chase these around and around in circles, and then they come up with something new, and they go, oh, I like this, and they do this for a while, and, this is the way the life goes. But actually, that's not a bad life. It's a nice life. But it's just not complete. What makes life incomplete? More, not less. What is the quality of your life when you're alone, in the moments between doing? It is in these moments that you meet yourself. I found this to be one of the most challenging places to sit, but there I remain, sitting and listening to the quiet of myself. At times, this silence may seem like you're swimming against the tide, moving in the opposite direction of the momentum that's moving around you. But the silence is where you will come face to face with the comfort and discomfort of the relationship you have with you. This is where you find your shame, self-loathing, loneliness, unaddressed pain, or numbing habits. This is where you will meet your tendency to disconnect and avoid yourself. Where did these inner chaos and darkness come from? Where did all this stuff come from? Maybe some of you are free and ready to go. Forget all that stuff. But for most of us, there's things that darken our life. So where does it come from? I've got a couple of examples here that I think you'll find interesting, and maybe this will help answer that question. Imagine you're a child, 2 or 3, and you're in a play yard, in the community, and you're running around, you're having fun, but then your mom is watching you, and she becomes afraid that you might hurt yourself. So at a certain point, mommy decides to try to stop you. And once you see her coming, you think she's playing a game. And so you try to outrun mommy. Well, there's cars in the street going by close by, and this is making mom even more afraid. And then she catches you. Well, like a child, you're expecting your mom to play. But instead, she spanks you. Boom! It's a shock. Your happiness was the expression of love, child's love. You don't understand words, but even so, you can ask, why? Imagine now, another case. You're a child and you're playing in the living room with whatever's about. You're not really have any intentions of breaking anything or doing anything bad. You're just playing with Daddy's guitar. Well, Daddy's there in the other room or something. He's had a horrible day at work, troubles, and he's kind of grouchy, and so he comes into the living room, but he sees you playing with his stuff, and he gets mad right away and grabs you and spanks you. Now, this is injustice from the child's point of view. You got to see that. Your daddy just comes, and with anger he hurts you. This is someone you trusted completely because he's your daddy. Someone who usually protects you and allows you to play and just be you. Now, there's something that doesn't quite fit. That sense of injustice is like a pain in your heart. It hurts and makes you cry. But you cry not because he spanked you. It's not just the physical aggression that hurts. It's the emotional aggression you feel is not fair. You didn't do anything. That sense of injustice opens an emotional wound in your mind. Now, one possible reaction to your daddy spanking you is to hit him back. Oh, have you ever thought of wanting to do that when you're young at that age? Oh my goodness. So you do hit him back, but only in your mind. Or you just put your hand up. Oh, the reaction of your father for you just putting your hand up against him creates a worse punishment. Now you know he will destroy you. Now you are afraid of your daddy. And you no longer defend yourself because you know that will only make things worse. Now, those are two interesting stories, and maybe you can relate in some way. We domesticate humans the same we domesticate animals or dogs, with punishment and reward. Before domestication, our mind was completely healthy. We were innocent. After each experience such as these, the reasoning mind tries to do something with it. And what is that? We learn to react in a certain way, our personal way. We keep that emotion with us, and it changes our way of living. This is how little by little we lose our innocence. We start to feel resentment. We no longer forgive. Over time, these experiences, interactions let us know it is not safe to be who we are. This is when we begin to live only on the surface of our life. What makes life incomplete? More, not less. You carry around great knapsacks of irrelevancy, and you wonder why you're so tired. Is there no escape to release this history that has been so ponderously heavy? Yes, there is a way. Love is the answer, but a special kind of love. Where did Scrooge's partner Marley forge the links of his chain, link by link? On the surface of his life. Where did Scrooge land when he fell out of his nightmare back into this real world? No longer were his pursuits focused on the trivia of his money-lending business, but on a deeper business of making this a better world for all. Did Scrooge stop being a moneylender? No, not at all. That's not the point. The point is, from that morning onward, he saw a different world. He lived in a different world. Oh, there's this, I run into these stories, and I don't think originally it was a pastor, but I just feel like picking on pastors for some of these stories. Now, I hope you enjoy this one. A young pastor was sitting in a pub, eating lunch and enjoying a cold mug of beer. As he opened a letter he just received from his mother, a $20 bill fell out. Oh, he goes, "Oh, thank you, Mother. I really can use that right now." But, he's finishing his meal and he sees this beggar outside, and he's sitting on the sidewalk leaning against the light post, and he goes, "Wow, I bet that man could use this 20 more than I can." And so he takes the envelope. He puts the 20 in the envelope, the empty envelope, and he writes across the top, "Persevere." A little bit of encouragement from a pastor, And so he didn't want to make a scene, so he tucks it under his arm, and he walks by and casually just kind of, lets it fall to the ground in front of the man that's sitting there. And he looks Picks up the envelope, reads it, and he smiles. Well, the next day, the pastor is there having a lunch again, and this man comes up, the same man, and he taps him on the shoulder and he hands him a big wad of bills. And he goes, well, surprised. The pastor said, well, what's this for? The man replied, this is your half of the winnings. Persevere came in first in the 4th race at yesterday's track, and he paid 30-1. He was a bookie, not a beggar at all. Now, who would have known? Have you ever given from your heart and been abundantly rewarded, as if by an invisible power? That invisible power is love. To the people who come and go in your lives, we say, love me. We say, give to me what is lacking. We say, bring me greater love. We say, heal what aches. We say, fill what seems hollow. We say all these things, but never find the one person that can give us these things that we so desperately seek. And that is precisely because this love can't be found out there. It's found in here. Let me ask you this. What do you see when you look in the mirror? Do you look at yourself with eyes of love, of compassion, of kindness? Do you look upon yourself as an evolving art piece? Or do you see the lines of your brow furrowed, your shame behind your eyes? How do you behold yourself? If you ever find yourself consumed with troubling feelings of lack or unworthiness or pain, heartache, whatever it is, stop what you're doing. Get very still. Then whisper, I love you. I am listening. I remember the first time I said I love you to myself. I could not do it. When I finally found the courage to say those words, I wept from that very unfamiliar place. I felt as if I was tying back loose threads that had been broken away from me years before. I mourned the decades I had wasted and spent in disharmony with my body and soul. In saying these 3 little words, however, I found that love and acceptance I had been searching for all my life were already mine. That day I met myself for the first time, myself that was more alive and truer than anyone I'd ever met before. And so, with me, let's repeat with me. I love myself. I love myself. Just do it again. I love myself.
I love myself.
Well, doesn't that feel good? Now, perhaps you have spent most of your time. Perhaps you too have spent most of your time feeling estranged from yourself. Do you seek a healing? Look within. Do you wish to be loved? Look within. Do you seek enlightenment? You will find it within the embrace of your own tender loving. There was this woman named Jill who was married to a man who was emotionally absent. After many long and frustrating years of getting married, she says, I got to get a divorce. So she goes to the man. She says, I want a divorce. And he flat out refuses. So she says, well, then I'll just have to give myself the love that this really good for nothing husband isn't giving me. So every morning she would write herself a love letter. I mean, a nice long letter telling herself how beautiful, wise, and desirable she was. One day, Jill's husband found one of these letters, and since it was unsigned, she assumed it was from another man. The next morning, he comes in, waving the letter, and he says to her, I cannot compete with this. You can have your damn divorce. Now, cultivate that love of self makes possible the undoing of our emotional wounds, the undoing of our history, of our memory of hurt, of all the things that are keeping us in a prison of self-doubt and self-estrangement. Self-love is a digging tool you can use to dig beneath the surface of your body, of your life, and there find your own inner strength. Love of self means to reach out and take your own hand. Feel the pulse of that hand. Feel the love flowing back from that hand. Through this love, through this touch, we can learn how to love ourselves as we are, just as we are, as this marvelous, fluid, learning, human self. So I challenge you to make this a part of your daily meditation and prayer. Your mind will say, I don't understand. All I did was sit there for 15 minutes choosing love. Well, mind, that's all that's required. Repeat after me. I love myself. Oh, you're getting better. You're getting better. That's not the last time, I'll bet you. Here's a poem you all know from one of our songs. I love myself the way I am. There's nothing I need to change. I'll always be the perfect me. There's nothing to rearrange. I'm beautiful and capable of being the best I can. And I love myself just the way I am. Let us learn how to cultivate and strengthen this muscle of love for ourselves. It is a very weak muscle for most of us, as we have been taught inadvertently to look the other way and not be brave enough to look ourselves in the eye. What makes life incomplete? More, not less, but eventually more. Exactly what is the silence? Maybe, is it a void? Maybe. I asked for truth and was given silence. I asked for truth and was stripped clean of my image. I asked for truth, and all that I believed had meaning in my life within and without me was broken. I asked for truth. I did not realize I was asking to be emptied. The first moments will be the hardest, but once you have risen above the noise and then risen beyond the silence, you will fall into bliss, into the sunlit field of your own inner kingdom. Then and only then can we offer ourselves as medicine to the world. Then and only then can we be whole. If the time for feeling God's love, if the time for feeling God's loving presence seems a long ways off, pray. If the way seems dark, pray. Pray for those who despitefully use you. Pray for those who love you. And always, always pray, rejoicing. Let praise and thanksgiving ever rise as a sweet incense from the altar in your heart. And what shall this prayer be? You know the words by now. Repeat after me. I love myself.
I love myself.
I stand before you today, not to teach you, but to love you, until you choose from the depths of your heart to set aside every shred of fear that you have ever given credence to, and remember the truth of who you are, a divine son or daughter of God. Now, for meditation today, I have a song followed by silence to give you some time to contemplate this talk. And the song, the meaning of it, and how it might be applied to your life. Now, this song is about love. It was written by John West, by the way. And it asks a question. It says, what kind of love solves the greatest mystery? Well, the question is left unanswered by the song. What is your answer to this question? For those of you who don't know, John West